Hyner View Trail Challenge 25K today. Finished 15th overall in 2 hours, 44 minutes, 54 seconds, .84. Definitely could have did a lot better than I did time-wise. I didn't push it all today. I took it really easy. Took a bunch of pictures and clips. I'll get to more to that later, but beautiful day today for the race. I think this was the best, in my opinion, day that they've had for the race of all the years that I've done it. Usually do the 50K. This is the first year I've done the 25. I might have did the 50 like 5 times now, so I wanted to switch it up this year. Again, it was a beautiful morning. There was no frost on the ground, at least when I got here for my 9 o'clock start, about a quarter after 8. I mean, it was a little chilly, probably in the 40s. It's only 53 degrees right now with some wind. But it wasn't cold enough where I had to really gear up at all today. I had shorts and compression shorts on, calf sleeves. I took a gaiter to start, but it came off really quick. I was wearing my jersey, and that was it. Yeah, I didn't take gloves or beanie or anything like that. So I ran pretty light to start, because again, my plan was not to push or try today. It was just, you know, more of a training run. So I didn't gear up too much. And I decided last minute to take music. I was 50-50 on it the whole way. I just said, oh, what the hell, you know, eventually you're going to be spaced out, so might as well take music to listen to pass the time. So I got here, well, I pulled in about a quarter after 8. Had to wait in line to actually get to park for like 10 minutes. I parked in bumfuck Egypt today, I'll tell you what. Getting here at a quarter after 8, I was the whole way at the very end of the airstrip. So I had to, probably 2/10 just to get to the registration /start/finish each time I went to my vehicle. So that sort of stuff. But it was a little bit of a nice warm-up, and that's what I used as my warm-up today. Was jogging the registration, jogging back. Whatever. Talked to a couple of people before the race. I didn't get here before the 50K start, obviously, because I said I pulled in at a quarter after 8. I wasn't really planning on it either, because last night I didn't stay at a hotel. I drove up this morning, which is a 2-hour, 20-minute drive. I woke up at 5:20 in the morning just to get here. I canceled the hotel this week because I figured I wasn't going for time replacement, so there's no point in me wasting $100 on a hotel. So that's why I drove. Plus, Brantley Gilbert concert last night didn't end until like a quarter after 11, so I wouldn't even have got into a hotel until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. So there's no point. I only did get 4.5 hours, maybe at the most, probably closer to 4 sleep. So I had some Celsius caffeinated version on the way up. Still got some left. I actually ate breakfast on the way up. Sausage sandwich. Then I had a Nugo bar and some crackers. Just because I knew I was going to have like well, if I woke up at 5:20, I think I left at 5:45 at my house, 5:50. So I needed to eat on the way and continue to eat on the way, or else I was going to be hungry before the race even started. I took my Naked Belt, had 2 9-ounce bottles of Noon caffeinated in it. I didn't want to take a vest because I thought the vest would have been overkill, since there was like 4 aid stations, 3 or 4 aid stations, maybe just 3. I don't know. So I thought a vest was overkill for the amount of liquid I needed. I probably could have taken a little bit more. It would have been nicer to have some more Noon. But I really didn't use much. Plus, if I wasn't going for time, I didn't really need more hydration to fuel me during the race. I did start up relatively in the front, probably in the top 30 at the start line. I didn't want to be any further back because I didn't want to get bottlenecked at that first single track. So I just stayed back a little bit, but not enough where I'm in like the middle of the 1,300 people, where I'm going to lose like an hour just because of the bottleneck in that first couple miles till things get spaced out. I'm smarter than that. I knew better from experience. That's what happens even in the 50K, but it was going to be way, way worse in 25. I even told a couple people that, because the first mile is basically road. You go across the bridge and then like hit a little bit of more road before you hit the single track. So you really do have a mile under your belt before the race actually, to me, starts a mile in. They did move the start and finish line a little bit from previous years. They just moved it over this one little hump, which to me is actually a better move. I think it was very smart on their behalf to move it over there. Frees up a lot of things. You don't have to worry now about vehicles coming in and out, because it's like in a quagmire. But I guess if it rained like it usually does, or even a couple of days before, it probably would be a lot swampier. But for safety reasons, the start and finish is a lot better over there. It just frees up so much things and allows people to spectate a hell of a lot better, because people don't have to move, and again, watch for vehicles. Plus, it's nice because where it is, there's a little bit of a bank, and you can see people running across the bridge and circling back into the finish line. So you can actually see them twice real quick. So if you stand up there on that hillside, you can get pictures of them crossing the bridge and finishing. Or if you just want to see your friend come in, you can actually see them, and you're not surprised. So you can see them, a couple of tenths before they finish. So you can get ready to take pictures and videos at the finish line of them. So from that aspect, again, it's a lot nicer as well. Same with the start. So you see people taking off, and then you can watch them, how they spaced out real quick in that first couple of tenths, who took off right away. Being out front, I did get to see a little bit like what was happening. I saw Reagan, he probably put down like a 4-minute mile. He just jetted out the gate. There's a couple of people like falling behind semi. There's a little bit of a string of people, and then there I was. Again, I started maybe like 30th. That's probably where I was by the end of the bridge ish. Just getting warmed up again, not pushing. If I was pushing, I would have went on a little bit harder to get ahead of people before the hill on the single track, but I just hung back. I know I was around Sean Bladen, that Warrior, I forget who else I was around that first couple miles before we hit the view. I did pass probably 8 or 10 people in that second mile. I wasn't trying to pass a bunch of people, but I just wanted to stay ahead of the pack. And it thinned out pretty easily on the single track, and spaced out, so it was pretty nice that way. I'm trying to think how to explain it. But my time, I'm gonna have to look at my paces, like per mile, my splits, because even that second mile, I think I was doing like 9s or 10s, just running comfortably. Maybe it was 8s, I don't know. I know it wasn't like a 6 or 7 before we actually started hitting the first hill. I did lose a lot of time today. But yeah. After that, we hit like the first little hill. We passed a couple more people. Like, I pretty much passed people until like about 12 here or there. I got passed a couple times, passed people back up, and after that it was pretty much steady placement till 14. I got passed by two guys when we first hit the last downhill. I got passed at the finish line. But I will say this, I lost at least 20 minutes today plus just from taking pictures and videos. I'm not lying about that. I'm going to upload them online so you can see like me actually stopping, taking pictures of different things. There's a guy dressed up as Jesus before the view. There was a Sasquatch at the one aid station. I took pictures of signs at some of the aid stations. I think one was like, you look sexy when you're sweaty, stuff like that. Like I was taking pictures of, and I took a couple pictures of the mountain views and then clips as I'm walking. So I lost a hell of a lot of time, and that even just those, the time taking pictures and clips, I want to say cost me 20 minutes. And if I'm looking at the results, that puts me in the top 5 just from me taking pictures and clips today. And I feel, not to take anything away from anybody, I feel like I could have been top 3 to 5 range if I was actually going for placement or time and actually pushing. Because I think 214 I think won, 222 was next, or somewhere around there. I think 222 was 3rd place, and I feel like I gotta reach that if I actually tried today and pushed. I didn't know how my legs were gonna hold up with my training, and I figured if I wasn't gonna win today, I wasn't gonna try and save my legs for tomorrow. I'm gonna do a half marathon. So like I said, I was going for this as a training run, and I ran comfortably all race. Obviously my heart rate's going to be up a little bit in some of the hills. It's going to hit like the 160s, but I'm not breathing heavy or exerting myself overly. Even in the runnable sections, I'm just like, we're just going through the motions. So again, I feel that I could have been 3 to 5 overall if I actually pushed and tried. Who knows what would have happened if I trained a little bit. I know people are going to call bullshit, but once I upload the pictures and videos, they're going to be like, alright, you're not lying that you were like stopping and doing shit, pissing around. Like going up like Carl's Way, I stopped at the bell, took a picture at the bell and took a video, a little clip. So right there, like early on, that's like 4 miles. I don't know if I did one before then or not. I know in that first, we'll say from like 2 to 4 miles, where it's like weaving in and out and stuff like that. Like, I want to call those rolling hills. I wasn't pushing because I knew it was early in the race, so I didn't want to burn my legs up. There was like a group of 4 of us, like a couple people behind me, a couple people in front, that I was just staying in the middle of them. And I definitely could have pushed a lot harder in that early on section. Then once we got to the view, well, I took a picture and clip of that guy dressed up as Jesus. And then I rang the bell at the view. And at the view aid station, I actually stopped and took a couple drinks before going on. even though I had hydration on me, which would have saved me some time there, like 10-15 seconds. And then that downhill, I think we got passed by one guy because he was bombing the downhill and I was being more cautious. I did pass him back up once or twice, but then with me stopping and going, he eventually just went away. And when I say I pissed around a lot today, I'm getting this all out of the way before I like tell all the good stuff about the race today. I know we'll call it like 4 to 8. I think it was range. We're going up through some valleys and different sections. And at one point it was like a couple miles of, we'll say like creek beds while we're going like uphill. Well, even before that, we'll say mile 5 range. I actually had to stop, retie my shoes because I didn't tie them tight enough early on. Well, before we started the race, so I actually had to physically stop. I know my buddy Craig passed me there. There was another guy that passed me there while I was tying my shoe. That's probably a couple tenths before the creeks and stuff started. Maybe no more than a half mile, whatever. So as we're going up the creek beds, I'm pissing around the creeks, splashing water on myself, dipping my hat in the water, keeping myself cool. Because at one point, I also did stop and took my shorts off, shoved them in my naked belt, and I also took my shirt off, and I had to stop for that because my headphones were intertangled the way I put my headphones on. So that was another stoppage where I physically just had to stop to be able to get my headphones out of my shirt. So again, these things are costing me time. I mean, I'm telling you how I lost that 20 plus minutes today just pissing around, not just from videos and clips, but other things. I dipped my hat in probably about a dozen times as we're going up the creek bed, because this is like the middle section of the race. Like I said, like that 4 to, well, maybe not the middle, but like that 4 to 8 mile range. And I figured later on it's going to be hot and dry once we hit the 9+ range of the course, especially going like up SOB. It might be a little bit wet, but you ain't going to be able to dip anything in the water, and you're going to be more exposed on the hillside, so it does feel hotter. So I knew that, so I wanted to keep my body cooler early on. That's why I was dipping, and I took my shirt and shorts off to keep my core temperature down from what was in store. Plus I was just hot in general, and you know, that's usually how I race, like pretty much naked. You can see my bulge in my 2XUs once it gets hot out. So I was just basically going down normal race attire because what I put on was just too hot. Took my nippies off. Ooh, when I took my nippies off, man, my nipples got cold instantly from being wet and the wind hitting them like for the first time. See, I was pissing around in the creeks. I was jogging the uphills a little bit, not pushing like redline, but I did pass some people on all the hills. Trying to think, I mean, but you should see some of the course this year, like the middle, that when I'm saying like the creek beds and stuff, we did have to cross the creeks, I would say between 12 and 20 times. So we were zigzagging back and forth. We crossed the one creek. I don't remember that doing that much before, and I don't remember even going up like the valley or whatever you want to call it, the trail. I was actually like running down like what I'm going to call a creek bed. It wasn't underwater, but it was wet. So I'm thinking just because of the rain that we got over the last week, it was a little bit higher and wetter than normal. So it was a little bit wetter and slower per se. And then we hit, I don't know if it was before the aid station or not. Yeah, then that aid station, I think that's the one with this, I don't know, we ran right through the middle of it. I don't think it was a Sasquatch one. It might have been the Sasquatch one, because I think the Sasquatch was right before the aid station. When I got in the aid station, I knew it was coming, so I drank my one bottle, filled it up with Gatorade, and drank some of that and filled it right back up. And I was talking to one volunteer there that knows me. He's like, "Oh, how you feeling?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm just taking it easy today, you know, whatever, not pushing it." He's like, "Oh, when are you gonna push it?" I was like, maybe SOB or whatever. So like I'm having a conversation, just, you know, being relaxed, taking it easy. Probably was at that aid station for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. You know, drinking and talking to that guy real quick before taking off. Then there's that like downhill. Is it downhill right after that? Yeah, then we had like the downhill right after that. Man, I got some gas. I was farting pretty good downhill. I was like, oh man, I'm about to shit. That Gatorade just whatever went right through me, but I held it together. I think I got past one dude towards the end. It was a dude I passed right before the aid station coming uphill. He passed me bombing the downhill, but I was also taking it easy on this downhill because I was following a guy, like that orange shirt guy that I was right behind the whole time, where I could at least see. I didn't see him anymore, and I was like, well, he didn't take off that fast. And then in the distance, I finally spotted somebody in an orange shirt, and I started catching him. I'm like, all right, I'm getting him, whatever, catching him back up again. And as I get closer, because the person's really going like slower than I thought, it's not him and it's a woman, and I'm like, shit, am I going the right way or not? I thought maybe that aid station I just passed was like the split for the 50 and the 25, and since people know I usually do the longer distances, I thought maybe I went the wrong way. They didn't say nothing, or I didn't hear them because I had my headphones in. So I was really second guessing myself and running a lot slower, sort of letting somebody come up behind me that I recognized, because I really did think at that point that I was going the wrong way, because it was like a mile and a half, I would say, like steady downhill or some rollingness down, and I was just like, there's no way I'd go this long without catching the guy that I was looking for or having somebody come up behind me. So I slowed down, and then once that guy was running downhill that I passed right before the aid station, I asked him, I was like, are we going the right way? And he says, yes. And I'm like, oh, thank God. So then I started running a little bit faster, but he had momentum, so I just let him go. About it for that area. Shit. What else happened after that? I don't know. Yeah, it was probably another mile or two of, I don't know if it was rolling hills or not after that. Oh, whatever. I can't remember in between there before we hit the bottom of, not SOB, but I guess I can call it the bottom of SOB, not the steep part, but well, I guess it's not SOB, it's the climb that we do going up to SOB. I caught back up to that guy that just passed me on the down, passed him. Then I know there's a couple people coming behind, so I ran a little bit on the hill, but not too much. Trying to think what else. Yeah, so then I was actually feeling really good about, what is it, about 10, 11-ish at that, what I'm calling like the valley before SOB, like the switchbacks and stuff. Like, I'm running up, it's still pretty good, and we're at like 3,000 plus feet of elevation, and I'm feeling really good. And I'm kind of actually shocked at how good I'm feeling. Like, my legs are just carrying me up the hill, and they want to run faster, but I'm just like, why? And I was putting on a nice gap between like the 4 people that I did see behind me, because I lost a few of them. I was like, whatever, we'll just gap it, because I figured the last mile and a half, 2 miles, there's that downhill, and I was like, people are just gonna bomb it and they're gonna catch me. So I was like, just put some gap on so you don't lose too many positions. Still not redlining, but I'm still putting gap on behind those behind me. And then I got to SOB, and again I took some pictures of the valley below, and then I took a clip as I'm like power walking up SOB, just to get a feel for it for the day. Spent about a minute and a half, 2 minutes at that aid station. Put some more Gatorade in my bottles. And I think, yeah, I took 3 peanut butter pretzels there, because I was like, all right, you've been running for like 2 hours now. You should at least put something in your stomach, even if it's just small. Even though I wasn't hungry, I just knew better. And I figured with like 2-3 miles left, I was like, there's no point in putting a bunch, just something like a quick little 20 calorie type deal. And I was on my way. Oh, no, actually I took a cup of Gatorade, or not Gatorade, ginger ale there as well, so I could burp a little bit if I had any acid buildup. Then there's that, like the straight stretch, we'll call it a mile straight stretch, after you hit that SOB aid station, which actually was probably the worst and the hardest part of the whole course for me. Even though it's like road type deal, but it was like such hard ground. It actually felt better running on rocks compared to this like hard dirt compact stuff that we were running on for that mile and a half. So I tried to get in the middle where there's a little bit more grassy, so there's more cushion, instead of like the ruts that I saw like some other people were running in, and it definitely took some pressure off. Then once we hit the single track again, I started running, but it got to be a little bit rockier in that section. I remember that's where I had a poop last year, so I didn't jiggle too much out myself today. And I was more worried about tripping in that rocky section than anything, because I didn't trip or stub my toe or anything during the race today, which is unexpected. Very thankful for that. Because I was just expecting the shape that I was in, I was going to trip a bunch, fall a bunch. I actually debated on wearing lifting gloves so I could have a little padding, so when I did fall, I wouldn't tear up my hands. But I didn't do it. Guess I didn't need it today, thankfully. Probably because I wasn't running fast enough to trip. But I had some good trail vision today as well. I know we crossed the one last, I think it's the road going up to the view that we intersect, and then that's when we do like more or less the last mile and that mile and a half of descent. I did see some people coming, like 2 guys coming up. I was like, they're gonna pass you because it's a downhill. So I stepped off real quick, let them go. I started jogging a little bit because there's nobody coming behind. I was kind of like unmotivated at that point too, because I didn't really know where my position was. Normally I do. I was figuring I was still probably in that like 30 range. So I wasn't really concerned. I mean, I didn't want, 500 people to pass me either. But I wasn't going balls to the wall. Could have been a lot faster than that mile and a half as well. Finally, well, there was one guy that did get me to speed up a little bit. I saw like a neon blue Buckridge Burn shirt coming. He'll probably listen to this and see how I describe the finish, because I was talking to him afterwards. But with him coming, I was like, all right, I'm not gonna let this guy pass me. So I started going faster, keeping the pace. Still could have been faster yet, like redlining. But I figured I was actually hoping he would pass me, because he was just behind me enough where he didn't pass me, and I was going fast enough where he wasn't catching. But I think that was more of him not wanting to pass me at the point. But I was waiting for him to like pass me so I could hang back a second or two and take the pressure off of myself, because I was feeling the pressure of him coming. So I wanted him to have the pressure instead of me, but he never came up to pass me. I was like, shit. So that, like that last, maybe like last mile, he was close enough where I was worried about him. I know when we went across the one little wooden bridge, he was, as I was stepping down, he was coming across, so that's how close he was. I think he got a little bit closer right before we do that one little burp, is what I'm going to call it, the little hill, before we drop down and hit the asphalt to go into the finish line. I did drop down to like a 6:15 pace on the asphalt. I actually stayed on the grass, left-hand side, as we popped out of the trail. Sorry if I don't name the trail names, because I don't recall them. But as we popped out, I stayed on that left-hand side on the asphalt, because I didn't want to run on asphalt, beat my legs up, so I was being smarter to run in the grass. But I was in like the 6:15, I think is what I saw on my watch. And I casually looked to the right a little bit so I could just glance just enough where I could see his shirt, because he was more on the right-hand side, and I could see that neon blue shirt. Just catch it a little bit. I was like, all right, he's close, but if he stays steady, I was like, we'll see what happens. I was like, just keep looking back every few seconds. Well, maybe not few, but maybe like 10 seconds to see how close and when he's going to kick. He kicks somewhere at the end of the bridge. I'm not sure exactly when. It had to be wherever I looked last until we turned left to head into the finish line is when he kicked. Because he was just, when I looked back right before we make that left to head into the last 10th of the finish line, he was like right on my ass, and I'm like, shit, he already kicked. and I didn't realize it. Probably should have taken my earphones out so I could hear them coming. So by the time that I kicked it in and started sprinting, he already had so much more momentum and energy build up, bursting through. For me, I was still ahead of him when I first sprinted, but he already had like that top end speed already kicked in, and I just couldn't get up to that speed in time to hold him off, and he ended up passing me. As soon as he passed me, I just was like, fuck it. So I jogged into like the last 20 yards as he, like, after he passed me, because it's like, whatever. But I did get my arm swing going. It was probably a good show, but it is what it is. So I finished 15th, and we had a nice little battle, which is pretty cool at the end there in front of everybody. A little embarrassing that I didn't take it, but still cool. Put on a good show to people. Yeah. So I finished 15th. And as I said, I lost at least 20 minutes today pissing around. And I would say a little bit more than that, just not even trying in general. Now you say, if you would have pushed or redlined a little bit, maybe you would have blown up. That's true, but I'm smart enough to, know when I'm going to blow up, to pull back a little bit in a race like that where I'm not going to win. And maybe I ran better because I didn't redline, so I had more legs. Whatever. I'm going to say no. Overall, though, I enjoyed the race. And overall, if you would have asked me coming in, if I would have been 15th, I would have taken it. Because it's always good competition there. When you get 1,300 plus people in the 25K, you're going to at least have 50 to 100 people that can probably hang within like a 15-minute range of me, theoretically. But when I finished, and I looked, I was 15th, and I saw the times, I was like, you dumb shit. Now, if you would have told me beforehand, I could have been between 3 and 5 if I tried and pushed. I definitely would have. And I'm going to say without a doubt that I could have been within those placements if I tried. But whatever. It is what it is. I have enough legs tomorrow to run a half. So I should be thankful for that. Other than that, again, I enjoyed it today. I probably enjoyed it more because I didn't push and redline. I just went out there and I was having fun, and I actually enjoyed the course. And I think not that the course was ever horrible, but the work that they put in from last year, and some of those trails that were like angled really steep, were a complete improvement. This year they're more, some of them were like more double wide, were at least passable, where a person could be running and somebody could pass without worrying about tripping or falling down a hill. And just, they seemed a little bit flatter, so that was awesome. I don't know if it was conducive to like a course record or, overall top end faster times. I didn't get the, I'm not going to be able to look until I get home, but I am curious about that. Food was good after. Had pizza, baked beans, coleslaw. I had a Sprite. I did try a little bit of chicken. I took a couple bites, but I just couldn't do it. It was just too much heartiness for me to actually eat and enjoy. I did have an awesome apple crumb cake. It looked like a normal like coffee crumb cake type deal, and I didn't realize there was apples in it. But the apples made it almost like a bread pudding type thing, so it was like more smooth. It was awesome. The pizza was good. They had a nice sweet, I don't know how to, like a sweet sauce to it. So I enjoyed that as well. I think just hanging out with people after the race, talking to a bunch of people. I probably talked to 75 to 100 people after the race, easily. Saw a bunch of friends today. Saw some enemies that I just kept seeing glare at me and shit. And I was just like, yeah, fuck yins. I thought it was actually kind of funny. Humorous how they kept glancing at me. You could tell they were talking about me. Yeah, it was just a good time. I took some videos, well, clips at the finish line as well. Just random people. And then I went live for 20 minutes. I probably could have went live and got a couple thousand views, but I didn't feel like sitting around because I wanted to actually talk to people. Should have got my gimbal out and fucking set it up at the finish so I could have got. It is what it is. When I started to get cold a little bit, I had a hoodie on the whole time after I changed. Should have put pants on though. What else? The weather stayed nice. I think it sprinkled for like 3 to 5 seconds at the most. Volunteers were awesome as always. Flagging was awesome as always. I mean, you really can't get lost. I mean, you could, but the trails are so, I don't want to say beat up, but they're so like worn, and like the work that they did, you could tell where you're supposed to run. And the way I ran today, my legs felt, I would take that. I'm actually very, very happy about that. The way my body responded today during like an actual trail race with hills, it has like over 4,000 feet of gain. It's like 4,300. I think I got 44 when I finished. If they told me my legs felt fine, I would be shocked. And I'm very damn happy about that. So that was awesome. I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting my legs to be sore, tired, beat up. Maybe they will be in the morning, maybe not. But I definitely was shocked to hell and back by that. Basically, when I finished, I could have ran back and ran more miles afterwards. Like, that's how fresh I actually felt. And I was actually a little disappointed that I didn't do the 50K after I finished. Because I was like, you dumbass. You didn't think you were going to be able to run a 50K. And, well, I guess last year when you signed up, because you had to sign up last year, I wanted to, do the 25K for something different and build up for like the Pittsburgh Marathon and shit. So I wasn't really wanting to do the 50K, but after I finished, I felt good enough where with the training that I've done, I'm definitely going to finish the 50K easily, which was I guess good, but also disappointing that I wasn't in the 50K is what I mean. I guess all those 20 milers that I've been doing, a couple times a week really paid off. Even though I haven't done the elevation per se for a race like this, I've only hit 4,000 plus a couple times this year. I think one 10,000 day or a week a couple weeks ago. So for my legs to respond as good as they did, I'm very happy. was happy with how things went today. Really couldn't ask for, I don't want to say a better performance, because I definitely could have did better, but I couldn't ask for how my body responded any better than it did, or asked anything more of my body. Just generally how my training's gone and like how I've actually trained, because most of my training runs have been such slower pace. Like I usually do like a 740, training run, but most of mine been closer to 8 or 830s. So I wasn't expecting much, which coming in, I was grateful not to have done that 50K. We'll see how it goes next weekend at the 50K that I'm doing. What else? I don't know. Everybody seemed happy today. Some people bitched about the hills, but they weren't really pissed about it. They were just complaining because of the hills in general. And just overall, the crowd was awesome. Tons of spectators today. I'll tell you what, a lot of support for people. I have a clip like as we crossed the bridge, like the line of people at the view. There was a shit ton of people, and at the finish line, everybody was hanging out, having a good time. Well, typically that usually happens. So that wasn't really unexpected. And when you have 1,700 people, you should expect a couple hundred people at the finish line, just hanging out. So there was that as well. So everything seemed to be spot on from the organizer and the race itself today. I didn't personally see any issues. Well, one. The only issue that I had was the 1-8 station had fruit punch for Gatorade as their flavor. I was just like, I hate fruit punch. It has to be like the worst, besides grape. Fruit punch and grape are the two worst Gatorade flavors, and they had fruit punch with that red food coloring in it. And I was just like, any other color, but the other 8 station had blue, so that was awesome. But that was the only thing I was upset about, was the red fruit punch at that 1-8 station. And that was my only complaint of the race itself. Maybe if they would have had some like iced tea or something at the finish line instead of pop water and beer. But that's just nitpicking, because Craig does a good job at the race. Well, phenomenal job at the race. That's my long ass freaking race recap.